All right. So I wanted to just quickly kind of go over um, some of your homework. We're going to be dealing with fraction rulers quite a bit again today. So if you are a little bit confused by our discussion about fraction rulers from Tuesday, then hopefully by the end of the day you have a kind of a better grasp on that concept. Um, so let's go over. So looking at investigation 5, um, there were. I'm not going to go over every single thing, but there were parts A through F on investigation 5 that you were supposed to complete. And I want to briefly mention that on part B of investigation 5, it says to show that 1 1/2 is equivalent to 1 4/6. And of course, you can't do that because that's a false statement, right? So they're not equivalent, right? These two numbers are not equivalent to one another. But in the instructions, I kind of tried to salvage this problem by saying what is the correct solution, or what is the correct statement. So the correct statement would be, well, you could have corrected it in a couple of ways. You could have said 1 4/6 is the same as 4/6 is the same as 2/3, right? So you could have said, well, the correct statement is 1 2/3 equals 1 4/6. So that's one possible correct statement that you could make. The other possibilities, you could say, well, 1 1/2, that would be 3/6. So you could say 1 1/2 is the same thing as 1 3/6. So that's the other statement that you could have tried to prove. And I'm not going to take you through like the justification for why those things are the same. But what I do want to go over is part E. So part E here says to compare the following fractions to determine which is bigger. So on part E, we want to determine which one is bigger, 3 1/6 or 22/7. So which of those fractions is bigger? Okay, so let's do this. So first of all, I'm going to hand myself a number line. I'm just using the edge of this paper as a straight edge. I should get a ruler and make this better so that I have a little bit better straight edge. But anyway, there's my number line. Okay, and I'm going to call this 0. And 3 1/6. I also know that 7 goes into 22 3 times with a little bit left over. So I have a feeling that, I should probably go out to like 4 so that I can accurately get both of those numbers on there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to split the space, or split the distance between this mark and this mark into 4 equal parts so that I know exactly where 1, 2, and 3 should be on this number line. So to do that, I'm going to take my little fraction ruler that I haven't made yet. I'm going to mark where 4 is, and then I'm going to grab a piece of lined paper like this, and I'm going to line it up along the top line, and I'm going to drag this mark. I'm going to keep track of this mark, and I'm going to drag it down 4 spaces so that I split the distance into 4 parts. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so make sure that the left corner is still on the top line, and then the right mark should be on the 4th line down. And then what that does is it creates these intersections between the lines on your ruled paper and the ruler. And so you can mark where those intersections occur, and they should be uh, they should be equally spaced, right? So they should perfectly split that space into 4 equal parts, okay? So then I can transpose that back to my number line. so that I know exactly where 1, 2, and 3 should be. Very good. So that part's done. Now, if I want to compare 3 1/6 to 22/7, I should mark where those numbers fall on the number line. So I'm going to start with 3 1/6. I already know that each of these marks on this number line represents 1 unit, right? This was 1, this was 2, this was 3, and then this was 4 out here. So, right, so I already know that that's 1 unit. So what I need to do is split this unit up into 6 parts so that I know what 1/6 looks like. So I'm going to go back to my ruled paper. And hopefully this unit is big enough to get 6 on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, I think I can get 6. Okay, so again, I'm going to mark the intersections. There's an intersection, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. So I've got 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, and then 6, 6 lands at 1. So I can take that and transfer it back over. Now I don't need to do all of these between 0 and 1 because I only need to be able to mark 3 1/6. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to come over here to 3 and I did not do a very good job of splitting this into 6 equal parts, did I? Or rather, this unit for some reason seems to be longer than this one. That's disappointing. So I'm gonna try again. I think actually what I'm gonna do is split the space between 3 and 4 here into 6 equal parts. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna try to split this into 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ooh. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay. This will work out a little better, I guess, since I didn't make my. Yeah, this space over here is a lot wider than these other ones. I think it's because I probably didn't get my corner perfectly lined up on my ruled paper when I was making my number line. But anyway, this will do the trick. So this right here is 3 1/6, right? That's that number right there. Now, as for 22/7, well, the 7 in the denominator tells me that I need to split all of my units into 7 parts. But I'm not going to like go through all of the effort of doing that for each individual part because I can kind of think about it like this. If I split this space between 0 and 1 into 7 parts, then I'm going to have 7/7 by the time I get to 1. And then I'll have 7 more by the time I get to 2, so that'll be 14/7, right? 7 plus 7 is 14. And then by the time I get to 3, I'll have 7 more, so 14 plus 7 is 21. So I'll have 21/7 by the time I get to 3, and I want to mark 22/7. So that's just 1 more. So really I could say, well, this is the same thing as 3 1/7. So, so I'm going to split this area between 3 and 4. I'm going to go back and split it into 7 parts now. So I'm going to erase all of the marks that I made earlier, and I'm going to try to split this space into 7 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe I can't do it. Oh, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, and it doesn't quite line up, man. Ah, so my unit isn't quite big enough. Oh well, I can fudge it a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I should have made my number line a little bigger, I guess, or chosen smaller numbers. Anyway, so if I line this up now, there's 3 1/7 right there. So this is 3 1/7. So I've got 3 1/6 right here, and 3 1/7 right here. So looking at that, you know, if we're to compare these two numbers, obviously 3 1/6 is bigger than 3 1/7. Okay, and at first glance, it almost seems a little bit counterintuitive. Like, wait a second, 7 is bigger than 6, so why are we saying that 1/6 is bigger than 1/7? But it's precisely because 7 is bigger than 6, right? The 1/7 tells you that you're splitting this unit into 7 parts, and you're taking the first one, right? The 3 1/6 means you split this unit into 6 parts, and you take the first one. Well, if you're only splitting it into 6 parts, then each part is going to be bigger than if you split the unit into 7 parts, right? So 3 1/6 is bigger than 3 1/7. But you get this sense for exactly how close those numbers are, right? They're really, really close to each other. But yeah, what we would say is 3 1/6 is bigger than 22/7, and that's how we would do part E. Okay, so that's that. Now you also had this fraction and division worksheet. And again, I'm not going to go through every problem on this worksheet, but I did want to go through a couple of them. So I want to talk about number 2. I think number 1 we actually did in class. I actually can't remember now. Maybe we did number 2 and we haven't done number 1. I can't remember, but I want to do number 2. And I want to use a fraction ruler to show that 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So before we do that, let me just remind you, 6 divided by 3, that means that we're going to take 6 and split it into 3 equal parts. And then the length of each of those equal parts is the answer to that division problem, right? So 6 divided by 3 is just, if I take 6 and split it into 3 equal lengths, 6 divided by 3 is the length of each of those pieces, right? So let's see if we can do 6 divided by 3. I'll hand myself a number line. I'll put 0 on there and then 6 on there, right? And in order for me to know where 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are, I need to split this distance into 6 equal parts, okay? So I'm not doing 6 divided by 3 yet. I'm just trying to figure out where 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 should be on my number line. I'm trying to get them perfectly situated on my number line here. So I'm going to erase the marks on my ruler that I made for the previous problem. Okay, here we go. So let me see if I can do this a little more accurately this time. I'm trying to get the corner of my ruler right on that mark. Okay, and then there's 6. Now I want to take that and split it into 6 equal parts. So I'm going to line up my ruler on the top line here. I'm going to leave the corner on the top line and drag the mark down 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Puts me right about there. Okay. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And they're pretty evenly spaced out. Hopefully I did that a little better than I did the previous problem, but that should be fairly accurate now. Okay, so far all I've done is just put the number line on there. Now I want to do 6 divided by 3, which means that I want to take this I want to take this distance from 0 to 6, and I want to divide it into 3 equal pieces. Okay. You could eyeball this because we've already made the divisions, right? So you can kind of tell that, like, if I split it here and here, then I get 3 equal parts, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces, and they're all length 2. And so that tells you that 6 divided by 3 equals 2. But let me just show you that you can do this with the fraction ruler you made. So if you want to do 6 divided by 3, that means that you need to split the space between 0 and 6 into 3 equal parts. To do that, you can take your fraction ruler and drag it down 1, 2, 3 spaces. So something like that there. And then you mark the intersections, right? So there's an intersection, and there's another intersection, and sure enough, those intersections fall right on the lines that we kind of eyeballed earlier, right? Okay, so how do we see the answer here? Well, the answer, 6 divided by 3, is that we've split the distance between 0 and 6 into 3 equal parts, and each of those pieces is 2 units long, right? This is length 2, this is length 2, this is length 2, so 6 divided by 3 equals 2, right? You could indicate that a number of different ways. I'm just going to say that this is 2, right? So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So the whole reason to show you this with whole numbers was to show you that that you could do this with fractions as well. Because if we're saying 6 divided by 3 equals 2, remember that this little division sign is the same thing as a fraction bar, right? 6 over 3 is 2. So we can use this same idea to prove things like number 4, which asks us to show that 5 divided by 4 is the same thing as 5/4. So let's do that. So first of all, I need to get myself a number line. When you work with these big numbers, you need really long number lines to get things to work out. So I'm going to make mine almost the entire width of my paper, and if that's not long enough, then I'll have to like flip it over and do this long ways, I guess. But let's say 0 is here, and let's say 5 is out here. Okay. I need to see where 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be on my number line. So I'm not trying to do 5 divided by 4 yet. I'm just trying to accurately place 1, 2, 3, and 4 on my number line. So to do that, I'm going to try to line this up right on the corner there. And then I'm going to mark where 5 is. And then I'm going to try to split that distance into 5 equal parts. So I take my lined paper, I line up the first corner here, and then I drag the other side of my paper down 5 spaces. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it just barely fits on the lined paper that I made. Okay. So there we go. So I can mark the intersections. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let me transfer those back over to my number line. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? Okay. So now I can do 5 divided by 4, right? 5 divided by 4. What's 5 divided by 4? Well, 5 divided by 4 would mean taking this space from 0 to 5 and splitting it into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to erase these other marks so that I don't confuse myself. Okay. Oh, actually, I need the fifth one, don't I? So I still need this last mark so that I know exactly where 5 lands on my number line. But now I'm going to split this distance into 4 parts so that I can do 5 divided by 4. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, something like that. It barely fits, but that should do it. Okay. So now I can mark these divisions on my number. Okay. So there is 5 divided by 4. Here's another 5 divided by 4, another 5 divided by 4, and then another one. So I've split the distance between 0 and 5 into 4 equal parts. And if you look at this, it looks like it's in 4 equal parts, right? So if you focus on the larger lines, then definitely I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts that are, roughly the same size. So each of these lengths represents what 5 divided by 4 should be. Now, to show that that's the same thing as 5/4, what we need to do is split one unit into 4 equal parts and then mark the 5th one, okay? So one more time with the fraction ruler. Okay, there's, let me try again. There's 1 unit right there, okay? There's 1 unit, and I'm going to split it into 4 parts. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Puts me right there. Then I can take this and transfer it back to the work I did here. I've got 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 1, 4/4. And then for 5/4, I can just start again. 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4, right? So on the one hand, this is 5 divided by 4. On the other hand, it's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, right? So, so 5 divided by 4 lands on the same space as 5/4. That tells me that 5 divided by 4 and 5/4 must be the same number, right? They're the same number. So that's how you do something like number 4 on the fractions and division worksheet. And that's all I have to say about that for now.